welcome back to a little post-game breakdown after the first game between Team Heretics and SK. Now, before we get into all the late game team fights that Caedrel and Drakos was talking about, I want to chat about the early game. Now, in the early game here, we got a split map situation from the get-go. Now, some of you may have heard that before, some of you may have not. Now, normally in a game of League of Legends, you clear the blue side jungle as the blue side jungler and the red side jungler as the red side jungler. But in this case scenario, we're gonna end up in a scenario where, that's the wrong one. Let's just get the actual one. Where, there we have it, you split the map in the middle. That's why we call it a split map situation. So you can see right now, there's actually no vision from either jungler in the enemy jungle. They did spot Markoon was doing the red side, but he's actually going to move into the blue side here instead. Now what SK is looking to do in this position is that they want to go for that classic dive on the bot side that we've seen multiple times. Now crucially already, you can see that in the mid lane, Ruby has to push. So he's ready to actually TP in and defend the bot side dive that's coming towards them. Jankos on the other side is clearing in the split map situation, where he's taking away all of Markoon camps, while Markoon is leaving Jankos camps up. So let's play the clip as it unfolds, because Markoon is just going to start by taking the Grump. He's just going to see if he can get some experience away from Jankos, because he knows he's losing a lot right now on the other side of the map, and it's crucial that this works for SK to get the early game going. But it doesn't. The CC is not layered properly. You're playing into a Zeri and a Lulu. It just does not work. And the other side of the map, suddenly Jankos, he's just fully clearing on top of this play here, and you can see now, as we pause it, once again, this jungle was never cleared. Jankos still hasn't backed. He's sitting right now with a lot of gold. He's actually no items, but he's currently looking at the top side right now, and every he pushed in earlier, now the wave is bouncing, and he's gonna go look for that kill on the top side as well. Jump's already used by Irrelevant. This should just be as clean as you like it as he's coming in. Now, getting the kill is nice, but what is really nice here is the fact that with Jankos still not having reset, he can go back and clear his blue side jungle and be a level ahead of Markoon. And that's why the tempo was always in Team Heretics' favor. With an early game like this, it should have been easy for them with the Lucian Nami to clean out this game and the late game at the Azir, but that did not happen. You're not gonna hear that from me. You're gonna hear that from the desk over there instead.
Thank you so much, Guldborg. Indeed, and I think it makes it all the more frustrating looking back at what Guldborg laid out and the planning that was so meticulous out of Heretics, knowing that SK loved to pull the trigger in the bot lane. They were ready for it. Jankos has a gold advantage. I think you even said it was just stupid to watch after that because you set up so much for what?
Honestly, I don't know. I was like kind of going to sleep back in the green room. Then the scoreboard broke, and I was back on the edge of my seat.
That was the most interesting thing, actually.
That was exciting stuff. But ultimately, like what Heretics did, they did pretty well, right? They got the majority of objectives. They dropped the first Drake of the game, so they could get Herald on the top side. Got both Heralds. Got another Drake later on, but weren't able to like actually break too far towards the SK base. And as the game slowed down, they weren't able to find a fighter on Baron until they threw it away.
Yeah, I generally feel like they didn't really have too many options in terms of engage, and I feel like that kind of hampered their ability to properly counterpunch SK whenever they felt like they misstepped on the map. And to me, SK, I feel like they were just kind of handed a lot of the tempo. Whenever the few times we actually saw Team Heretics get aggressive, they were very handily punished. This is one of those moments actually here in the top side where the Heretics, they just go for a play, and then SK, they just have the strong members right here.
And this is immediately after Ebby just solo killed Irrelevant in bot lane, right? Like you have side lane pressure, Ebby is pushing for an inhibitor tower potentially off of that play, but because they overextend in the top side, they get picked off, they lose Baron, the entire game goes haywire. This is actually one of the rare situations where you're playing sort of like 4 ranged with a strong split pusher, so you're not looking to try and fight with your 4, you're trying to allow Ebby to get the push off on the opposite side of the map, but because they throw away this 5 versus 4, they threw away a power play, giving up those 2 picks. Now, as soon as Irrelevant gets the Baron, Ebby can't solo push anymore. He can't go to a side lane. They're just going to be able to group up against you and take all the pressure back, and it threw away their entire early game advantage.
And it's frustrating to see because they had the plan from the early game. They also know what they're supposed to do with their comp at the points that they are in the game, right? And for SK, then we got to praise the fact that they sat back and they read the situation correctly and they were ready when they needed to be.
They were able to stabilize, and I think this goes to show like one of the reasons reasons I think we don't see a lot of teams try to like play, especially in the LEC, through like split push win conditions for their top laner, is it's a harder way to play, right? You're not playing for like a huge team fight win that snowballs into a Baron and the game just ends. You have to play for like the small chipping on side lane towers. The core of your team has to play more passively until you have the pressure from your top laner to roam up and group back with the team after he pushes the side lane. So I think this is an example of a comp that probably is harder for Heretics to execute, and I would like to see them go for something that's maybe a little easier in the team fights.
And it's only a best of 3, so they have to do it right now. Let's take a look at the final fight for SK. They end up just ending the game after that as well. Jamada, but it's a similar situation, although, of course, now they really go for it.
Yeah, SK just kind of realized they have the window. They have the one cannon, I think it's the one cannon minion by the end of the team fight. And you can see, like, Team Heretics, do they really have to overextend and go for this team fight on the back end of already losing Mersa? No. Do they still try and do it anyway because they feel like SK have overstepped their bounds? Yes, but again, SK have literally just punished you for a very similar situation, and it feels like Team Heretics just decided to buy up one that they can chew 2 times in a row for not much gain.
I think Ebby felt like
no gain, actually.
No gain, actually. They just lost, losing
yeah.
an entire game. But Ebby in that situation, he TPs into the fight. Even though it is a 5 versus 4, sees some low HP targets, sees like a 3 or 4 man stun. So like I understand the angle he's trying to look for, but at the same time, this again is a symptom of the fact that you don't have a lot of engage options. So he's like, okay, I see this moment, I can get an engage. Maybe it's the fight that wins it for us, but ultimately it wasn't.
With that, we can go into the draft discussion, maybe pull up the draft from the first game. Team Heretics did pick blue side. They're changing sides. And I'm guessing they will have workshopped the fact that they need to give themselves a little bit more tools to get into those fights.
Yeah, and I think like this is a situation where the jungle pick went so late for Team Heretics, right? You can see Jankos delays it. So already there's a Sejuani first pick, Maokai ban early on, Elise ban 2. So the big 3 are off the table. And they prioritize bot lane, makes sense, Lucian, Nami, and the Azir for Ruby, which you guarantee is going to get banned second phase if you don't get that locked in. Makes sense. The problem is 2 big engaged junglers are also banned, and now Jankos is on the Graves, which he played very well individually, but in terms of those engage options, they are very lacking.
Yeah, and I feel like the thing that kind of peeves me a lot here in this game for Team Heretics is they have the composition, and they play it out basically near perfectly. It's just those 2 fights. I think if they just enter the next game, even if you reran this game and just added more discipline, they'll be fine. I think you can band-aid it with a bit of engage here, but I think realistically, SK are actually kind of still on the back foot, in my mind. I actually feel like SK have just kind of come into game on and punished the 2 big major mistakes that Team Heretics have made, but Team Heretics, fundamentally, in my mind, they played this game better than SK did. I just think that SK had the correct tools to punish Team Heretics at the correct windows.
I will say too, like I don't on paper dislike Team Heretics drafts like as a concept. I just think that for Heretics, they are a team that have struggled a lot when it comes to playing out team fights themselves. Like individually, I think they're all very skilled. But when it comes to like coordinating around as a 5 unit, it's been difficult. So sort of simplicity is what I want to look for, right? Like Jankos looks best in the team fights when he's leading his team, deciding when the engage happens, not when it's Ebby looking for an angle on the Jax, that's the champion, or you know, tidal waves, anything like this. So I would like to see them try to maybe back over to the blue side, get the Sejuani early themselves, and they're going to be very happy.
Yeah, this could be a symptom of the fact that they are trying to integrate the languages and the players together as such, which is no shame really at this point in the time that they've played together. But obviously, it's also one that is very hard to band-aid, I think, from like game 1 to 2 in a series.
100%. And I think like for them, they go back to maybe more like standard like front to back team fights is going to be the look for them. For SK, I think they can be sort of happy with this game win, because even though like yes, they fell behind early and like won off some good picks in the later game, they were never massively behind. Like 1 to 2k gold, that was always in their wheelhouse of being able to team fight. And it's like they've got Zeri, Lulu on the bottom side, like they're going to be very comfortably scaling into the later stages of the game. So I'm personally not concerned about this team.
Yeah, the only thing I'd ask of SK is that they just try and be a little more proactive, right? I think generally, if you've got someone like Sejuani, if you've got someone like Silas, try and force the 2v2 a little bit more. Try and actually just send it on the side lanes a bit more. Maybe not in the way that they did in this game before Team Heretics got the advantage, but I think actually seeing a little more of that aggression from Markoon is pretty pivotal to how SK want to play the game.
All right, let's see it, and let's see it if we can see it.
Let's see
if we can see it.
Caedrel and Drakos.
Can you guys see it?
No.
What are we supposed to be looking for?
Who knows? Maybe that's what, like it's deep, you know?
It's deep.
You don't know what you're looking for, but you're looking for it.
You will know it when you find it. That's
Will you?
bad sage advice about unclear topics from us. Team Heretics on blue side.
Will they find the win? Maybe that's what we're looking for.
Can they find a win before they find themselves,
Bruh.
Mark?
I don't know, that's too deep for me.
It is.
I'm just a caster.
True.
I'm a streamer.
We are both just casters. I hope that they can find an easier to play composition, because while we heard from the desk that there were redeeming factors, I think in an elimination game, you're in a best of, you have the luxury of just dumbing it down. And it might not be flashy, and it might not be sexy, but play scaling. Play front to back. You know, let SK do it too.
I feel like I just want to clip the last 10 seconds of you speaking and put it on like an audio recorder and just listen to it before I go to bed at night.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Just play scaling.
Just play scaling.
Just listen to it over.
That's what you want. That's what you hear in your head when you go to sleep.
You know, if you're
Just
a
play
coach,
scaling.
you're just listening to that.
Just play scaling.
Don't let them play.
Just play.
Psycho
Engage
champs.
supports.
Yeah.
Engage supports.
Let's see what they do.
For now, though, picks
on
and
blue
bans
side.
remaining mostly the same. The Caitlyn and the Draven both going to hit the bench. Still that respect given over to Jackspektra as a big Draven enthusiast. His Lucian last game was lackluster. Got caught out across both fights. Definitely not what you want from a carry role that got so much early attention, but given the benefit of the doubt that he can shape it up here in this game too. And it seems like Sejuani has been targeted as one of the champs that just has to be removed. Maokai was banned last time around. See if they ban it again here.
SK, what's the direction they want to go in? Heretics now on the blue side. Elise is still up. Does Heretics want to force an Elise first pick here and try to pull that out? They've taken the Sejuani away from Markoon. I think they're crazy if they don't take away the Elise too. But is it worth first picking or is it worth banning away now? I think is what they're asking themselves. And then does SK play the game of chicken and leave it open or ban it themselves? There's the Ashe taken away. They don't want to play that ranged support. Lucian is still up. Zeri is still up. SK can run back a similar bot matchup. Does Heretics change up the draft is the question, because I think it's in their hands really. If they want to go into some sort of Sivir direction or a Kalista direction that we've seen from Jackspektra.
The Kalista game did not look bad from Jackspektra. Of course, they did fumble it a little bit around an early dragon fight that ultimately cost them a lot of the lead that they had built in the early game. That said, Elise now going to be the final ban here. Maybe a little bit more priority onto Jankos' champion pool. But Heretics, the Lucian again.
Surprise.
Bit of a head scratcher. Now, I absolutely understand saying, hey, we just messed up some of the execution. Let's run it back. But I think a bold call in an elimination game, and we're just going to have to see if it pays off for him.
Yeah, SK will do the exact same thing, I think. Just go Zeri, Lulu. Maybe they want to take away the Azir here. That just looks so troll. I just had to laugh. Sorry, it looks pretty funny. Dustin and Exakick are laughing too. Do they want to take away the Azir here? Maybe their choice of jungle. You know, Vi could be good to deny here from Jankos if you're going to play a Zeri lane. So they're going to do that. Pick Zeri on 3. And I think Jankos should just go for Wukong. And I think we'll have a very stock standard draft in terms of jungle bot lane. Unless he wants to change it up for us. Maybe Azir is something that they thought Ruby is really comfortable on. Had the push on. They played through mid. And they want to drop Jankos again. But I'd be surprised if they do that. I don't think Jankos playing Graves is the way forwards. I think having him on something like Wukong, little bit of agency is better, but no, they disagree. They do think the Azir is just really strong, and maybe we'll see a Jankos Graves again.
And this, to me, this lack of flexibility, even when you're in a different side, so in theory in a different position, says that this is what has been working for Team Heretics and Scrims. And based on the fact that we're seeing the exact same first 3, feels like maybe not too much else has been looking solid across the board. Or maybe this is just comfort, as they do have a player who's feeling less than 100%. They just want to play a composition that they know, they feel comfortable executing. That said, it could cost them as we get later into the draft. See if once again Heretics want to ban away the Scion, want to stop SK from playing full front to back. And yeah, the answer is yes, they do. They want a more volatile side lane, maybe hoping that Evie can be the one to bring home some advantages.
I want Heretics, like you said, to play front to back. I want him on something like Ornn, some face roll tank up there. Gragas will do anything
Did you say
at all.
face roll and tank?
Yeah, anything that just compress R and basically means go. It's like a little alarm bell that rings when you say you want your team to
That's what I think of when I think of going down 20 CS and buying a Cole in top lane. Face roll.
5 giant belts. Look at me. What you gonna do? Deny me my ruby crystals? No, you won't. Full tank is what we need, I think, here for Heretics. And for SK, I think Renekton looks like the best champion right now. Maybe even for both sides. Irrelevant could pick that up. The Gnar looked good too if they just want to blind that here. But they can save their pick for last pick. I think what could happen here is they could pick mid. Akali, I think, could work very well with the Vi. And then Heretics could take the Gnar. And then SK have a Camille angle. I'd be a bit scared of that if I was Heretics.
Ooh, it's interesting. You get Silas here to preemptively try and deny a Gnar or punish a Gnar.
Ooh, Taliah, I like that too.
Taliah bold. Now we have
dashes.
seen a bit more Taliah across the globe. It's been rising in popularity, and we did forget.
It's Evie.
It's Evie.
It's Evie Cassante. When in doubt, Evie will pull it out. He's going to go for the Cassante.
Bars. Don't know how I feel about that one, but I do feel good about Evi's Cassante.
Yep. There it is, locked in. So what's Jankos going to play? I just don't want to see Graves. As much as I like the carry jungle, I like the front to back as well. But the Taliah is something that Xiaohu really leans towards. I think Showmaker is also leaning towards it a bit as well, if off the top of my head. Really good at denying all these dashes. Lucian can never really dash forwards. Azir can never really shuffle as the E is up.
Certainly. And
then really good roam potential. Also, the follow-up with Vi is incredible. The W-E combo on top of the Vild, simple. Kindred. Oof. Okay, it's going to go for the carry. No real frontline on SK right now.
Man, and on paper, it's obviously such a powerful pick. It can take over games. And it's no fault to Jankos. He's a solid player, and I think as much crap as he gets for him on carries, I think he is still a really great player, and he showed it in the Graves game individually. But I think the team needs more reliable engage, because right now SK are basically running back the same composition. They don't have the same Sylas playmaking ability, but they have much more early to mid-game roaming coming in from the Taliah. And if I'm Heretics right now, I am sweating. It feels like Evi comfort is kind of what you are betting this entire series on.
Yeah, I think SK's answers to Heretics are pretty good. Do you want to hear a little fun fact? When was the last time Jankos played Kindred?
Oh, well, I just said don't meme Jankos, but it had to be a loss.
It was.
Couldn't have been international. There's no way he played it international.
It was international.
It was international.
2020 Worlds against Damwon. Do you remember what happened in that series? Good. Right, so Heretics with the front to back. They've got 4 range champs again. Just slot out the Kindred, the Graves for a Kindred. Slot out the Jax for a Cassante. A little bit more frontline to work with.
Yeah.
Maybe Jankos can find some early plays up against the Vi, because in an innate 1v1, when Kindred has ult, into Vi it's not too bad. If you can get the ult off before she can get the engage in, then you can live through the combo. It's just the chain CC is the problem. Vi ult into the knockup. But here we're ready for Game 2. SK versus Heretics on match point.
Woo!
Here we are.
It's the Rift.
It
is time. Again, do or die for Team Heretics as SK are already up 1 game. And last game was messy. Neither side walked away. Too happy with that one, so both sides are going to look to clean it up.
5v5. 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 Give it to me.
And
5v5.
Oh.
5v5. No, they're just going to sweep.
The Bears aren't listening, audience. The Bears are not listening.
I haven't seen a level 1 5v5 yet in the major regions. I really want to.
Who wins Theory Craft with me? Who wins the level 1 5v5? I feel like it has to be the Taliah team.
Taliah damage level 1.
Damage level 1.
Yeah, but it's actually kind of low, to be honest. Her Q only really does damage when she's level 9, when she has 5 points in it.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Those nerfs are You're right.
It's situational, you know? What is Markoon just escorting his gentleman now? No, I think they probably late invaded top. Maybe they're a bit scared, so they want to stay together.
Here we go. Ooh, and they're right on their read, but Evi's not going to stick around.
Yeah.
Sertuss.
No one's there.
Rock surfing, despite dressing like he's from the Water Tribe. Questions arising early in the cast. North or South Water Tribe? Where did he learn to rock bend? Geopolitically doesn't make a lot of sense, Sertuss. These are questions we have to ask the design team. Other than that, will we see a slightly different bot lane early on? Exakick and DOS got early advantages. They got early push, and it did a lot of work. Now, ultimately, they did fumble the dive. But with Jankos, or rather not Jankos, Markoon starting on the top side, maybe they could look to rinse and repeat, or we could end up with a split map scenario and Markoon paying more attention to Irrelevant.
Good question. So is Jankos just going to go for a level 2 gank here? I think Bo on Kindred is the example of level 2 ganks. He just does red into bot. Looks like Jankos is going to do red Crux into bot. SK bot lane 2 metees away from level 2. Heretics 3 metees away from level 2.
They have to be ready for this.
Here he comes. Jankos.
Level 2 with a red buff.
Can he pull it off?
Dancing in there. Auto. Big damage.
Auto.
Nami just kind of alley-ooping that W onto Exakick.
How broken is jungle roll? Just like that, bot is lost. And now Jankos will go to the enemy blue buff, you expect, but a bit risky because DOS is going to match him. And I think they just spotted Markoon running across that ward back into bot side, so I think he's going to have to retreat to his Raptors. Does Markoon look for him, knowing that he can't fight?
Level 3.
Try and take away. Smite just came up.
Smite up for Jankos. Smite up for Markoon. It's a stare down.
DOS, not gonna...
Squaring up.
Just stand still.
European standoff.
And look scary. Jankos looked scarier. It looks like Markoon's gonna back away. No mid push.
And the sad thing is that Markoon spent his time to look menacing, whereas Jankos spent his time to almost murder Exakick. So overall, value proposition, very in favor of Team Heretics at this particular moment in time. Trade offer, not good.
You look menacing, I murder your bot lane. We'll see if Markoon can get a better trade offer next time. I mean,
it's 21-8 in CS right now. And this is, I mean, to be fair, Jackspektra, not the flashiest game. Again, they were able to punish the early SK dive, but we want to see more, and he is now set up to take over. So if there was a time for Jackspektra to rise up and carry a game, normally I'd say this one, but with the way that DOS and Exakick are freezing his wave, ooh, that big damage.
That stings, doesn't it? Markoon is bot side. The problem here for Heretics is bot is winning. Yes, you're winning out on the trades and you can punish, but your jungler's top side, they have a ward in river. Actually, they have 3 wards in river to spot out Markoon, who's probably going to queue over here.
Jackspektra has very little mana.
He thinks that river's warded, but the bush isn't. But the bush is warded. He thought he could queue over and wait for his Q recharge, and now he's going to have to run away. Not so menacingly. Jankos is going to get his full clear off. Top crab spawning. I think he got bad RNG. I think top crab is not his stack. I think it was bot crab, so won't have the first mark just yet. The 50-50 level 4 is always a great one to play.
Not going to get it this time around.
Is he waiting? I think he's waiting for the stack to respawn onto the crab. Can we get the camera on the Jankos observers? I think he's waiting. Yeah, he's just going to wait for the stack to spawn on crab, I think. He's not actually going to take it. Now it spawns.
Spawning.
Smart Jankos.
There it is.
He knows the second mark will always go on crab despite the other one being down. And he gets it.
Nice. A little heads up bit of Kindred tech there if you were looking to get into playing this champion. You go bot lane level 2 with red buff, then you stare menacingly, and then you wait for the crab to get marked. Easy. He just made a guide for us in the first 4 minutes of gameplay.
Get it online, get it on the YouTube, get the clickbaits going. Kindred to Challenger, to LEC. Jankos has got it right there for you. First 4 levels.
Mapped out, done.
Yeah, done. Topside vision placed, ward on enemy raptors, second camp respawn, base. Go to your respawn camps.
More like based, am I right? There it is.
You're always right, Drakos.
Thank you.
You're never wrong.
I appreciate you.
But you are left-handed.
That's true.
So you're not.
That was a weird. We're in the weird.
I went for a right-hand joke. Left. It didn't work.
I know.
Very well.
I see you.
The transition was terrible.
I appreciate you. No, you. You're great. Don't doubt yourself.
Wow, you're just beating each other.
Don't let your confidence get shaken.
Should we just compliment each other for 40 minutes?
You need. Yes. You know what you should do is you should live your life with the confidence of irrelevant. Just first item Cole, knowing that you're just going to power farm for 100 creeps and nothing else is going to happen. Exakick, back it up, getting caught on the edge of the bubble. Oh, that is brutal. Jackspektra, easy kill. First blood. Are they going to go for the dive onto DOS? No red buff, no follow-up. Mounting Dread will not get completed, but that must have been pixels. That
was a hitbox. That's all I'll say. Really, really close to dodging an X-kick, but I think he was just in range of the tip of the bubble. Ends up losing his life for it. Jankos now looking for Markoon. Knows he's around here. So it is the stack. He could steal it away. It could be another stack. Yes, he gets it. 2 stacks for the Kindred. Jankos having a great early game already. Manages to take away that second stack. Needs to get to 4. But SK have a little bit of pink, a little bit of vision. Pink wards down towards the spot side. Need to clear out. So can we get a slow-mo on that bubble? I'd love to see how close it was. Exakick actually thought he was probably out of range. Decides not to flash out of it.
Here we go. Oh, and it's got a little fish in it. Oh my God.
Left foot, the ankle.
The boot.
The Achilles
heel. Take your shoes off, Exakick.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's the big boots. This is why they say. It's
the Berserker Greaves.
Suffering for fashion. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Drake gonna go down.
Unlucky.
Yeah, 1K gold advantage to Team Heretics. I don't want to call it too soon. Actually, I won't call anything because I'm going to catch or curse it. But what I will say is this is a very, very promising start from Team Heretics, and I'm starting to see why they wanted to run back a similar draft. Because again, this is not what happened in Game 1. It fell apart. It was not nearly this dominant, despite SK fumbling a lot of their early game plans. Team Heretics still weren't able to build much of in terms of a greater advantage, especially in bot lane. But this game, Jackspektra is showing up.
I think Jamada summarized it on the desk quite well, where despite SK being ahead, and it being one win in this series, Heretics are the ones just playing better, arguably. You know, the game, the early game, the mid game, the transition of leads, the snowball effect has been good by Heretics. It feels like they're the ones in control, just they make these hiccups where all of a sudden things fall apart.
Well,
it happened against SK in their first best of 1. Now it's happening again in the first game of this group stage best of 3. They just need to make sure they keep control of the steering wheel. Don't overextend and don't disrespect, because SK bot.
Again, DOS just gonna have to run.
Oh, close.
Ooh, I'm surprised he didn't just die there, but looks like Jankos didn't want to burn the flash for an extra auto.
I feel like Jankos has got the better hand of Markoon in these early games 2 times in a row now. Ruby. Not going to go for it. Decides against it. Could be a 1-for-1 despite him. Oh, we didn't see that, Jankos.
A little oopsie. Just trying to backflip into a wall. No worries. Just parkour.
Wicked. Oh, Markoon's on Herald, so at least they get something in return. No play in bot other than denying the creeps, but you can see that CS lead is getting bigger and bigger for Jackspektra, but Jackspektra needs to be reliable. I feel like he had one great Draven game. Everything else was, I think, mediocre, suboptimal in some games. But this game, he's in a great spot. Jankos has been playing for him. He's going to get a lot of resources, but he needs to transition this. Mid-game Lucian is so important. It's not a Zeri where you just sit back, kite back, punish mistakes. I think his Zeri was exceptional. And in the series they played last week, I think Jankos was the one struggling on Vi, and Jackspektra's game 2 and 3 was not bad. But we need to see more action. We need to see more aggression, more forced plays by Jackspektra on this Lucian.
And you can see the stats there on the wrong side, because we made those for game 1, but wanted to talk about him anyway. This is a story of two very different AD carries. Exakick has kind of been the pride of SK thus far this season, whereas Jackspektra hasn't been able to show that form. Again, you highlighted that Draven game. He had one really big stand-up moment. He had a pretty solid Callista game that ultimately resulted in a loss. But now, he is set up 100% for success on a champion that does not get the luxury of scaling to 6 items and sitting back, especially against Zeri.
Yeah.
We need to see him and Mersa control and take over this mid game. And now they can get help from Ruby or Jankos or anyone else where they need it, but we cannot see a dash into a Gnar stun. We cannot see getting caught in a side lane, because this could very quickly result in an SK 2-0 if Team Heretics once again fall prey to some of these individual mistakes.
I've liked Jackspektra on Zeri. I think his way of kiting back and outplaying people who come onto him is just phenomenal. His Zeri games have been a standout next to the Draven. Just the Lucian. He's played 3 games of Lucian. I think he's lost all the way. He won one of them, I think, against Koi. He needs to get more aggression. He needs to start dashing forwards on these mid waves. We'll see how he does. He's got the Gale Force now. I think Mandate's being built up here for Mersa.
Gale Force. He has First Strike. He has Ignite. This man can kill people.
He can. And he needs to respect for now, though. He needs to get Jankos down here. He needs to get a little bit of mid-push, some vision. He sees nothing on the map right now other than the tri-bush. There's the water spot on Markoon. No flash commit. Jackspektra's ready for it, so good respect. I think their way of respecting cross maps has been good. Culling, not the best there. DOS with no flash could have been something to punish, but we'll see. He gets the bot push. Dragon's not up for another 1 minute 20 seconds. Jankos is down here. They've got the pressure. They don't have the Herald, though, so I think what they're doing here is they're matching the Vi, stopping them from getting the Herald down.
This is a difficult position again for Jackspektra to be in. We're putting a lot of pressure on him to perform, and that is how the draft has been set up.
They're backs against the wall, right?
Yeah, it's potentially the last draft of the season, but now they're stepping forward. Jankos on the backside, he needs to get in there, he needs to lay down the Lamb's respite. Sertuss pulling Jankos back into the rest of the team. Still has the Kindred ultimate cooldown up and available. Waiting on the edge there to make it out to safety. Man advantage for SK in the bottom lane, forces Team Heretics back. Azir in the mid lane, though, already pushing.
That's the power of Taliah. So the trade-off here is Heretics get plates in mid and a little bit of extra CS, but they've lost 3 flashes on jungle bot. No Violed. Don't think they can really commit to
go
this.
early.
Can get
that was not what he wanted, but not too scared of the damage, it seems, without Markoon having ultimate.
Ruby has no soldiers left. I think, yeah, Markoon, if he went in there with no flash and he used his Q, he would get pushed into tower by the Azir ult, right? And Ruby might die, but Markoon would die as well. Is it worth to go 1-for-1? Then you can't put the Herald down. So I can kind of get what Markoon was going for. Also for Jankos, that ult might have looked a bit odd, but I think he was scared of the splash damage from the Taliah Q hitting Mersa despite him trying to block it.
Yeah.
Anyway, in isolation, props to Irrelevant. You know, this is Evi's Cassante, and he's 1k gold up. He's managed to get himself, I think, 2 plates there, and he has a sizable CS lead despite playing in isolation. Needs to be careful here, though. Ooh, almost got ulted into tower.
Not going to get ulted into the tower. Fully stacked the Cole, helping him hold on to that individual gold lead. And yeah, promising game thus far from Irrelevant. The previous game, the Gnar was solid. You know, it did get caught out. Evi was able to find some of those kills, but ultimately able to make a big impact in the fight. See if he can do it again this time. Again, a situation where, like last time, when it comes to ease of execution, we look overall at SK's composition, but Team Heretics this time around building a much more confident early lead, at least on the bottom side of the lane, or bottom side of the map, and we're just going to have to see how they play this mid game, see if they can hold on to this lead for longer and not let themselves get caught out in a lot of these 5v5s. Is
Evi.
all incoming.
Uh-oh. Danger.
This is going to be bad for Irrelevant. Irrelevant needs to make his way away from this one. He's going to try to bounce out, but Evi holding the W. It's beautiful play thus far. He's going to keep going for the dive. Irrelevant going to try to finish the job. One more tower shot finishing off Evi. It will be a 1-for-1 in the end.
Well played, though, by Evi. I think he held his Q3 for so long that Irrelevant tried to dodge around. It eventually expired, but he kept it for so long, managed to dash, managed to gap close, so well played by him. The second he waste stand and Irrelevant dodged it, the play is over, so he manages to get the kill, gets his mythic, and now happy days in the top lane. Jackspektra trying to land the Q there on the Exakick, get the chunk, but it won't hit. So top lane still similar situation. Top wave's important. By the looks of the minimap, I think it's pushing into Irrelevant. So that's going to sting for Ebby. But we'll have to see. It's hard to tell with just the minimap. Jackspektra needs to be careful. No flash. Exakick and DOS have all summoners apart from the heal. Is it Mersa the target? Don't face check that bush.
Ooh, now they're just going to try to burn down Mersa. Wave coming in. Mersa's still standing for now. Jankos will flash. He's just going to ult. He's going to stop the kill. He's ticking. Mersa's still burning on the backside, but it does not matter. They're looking for 2 more kills. Jackspektra chasing down Dosh. The Wild Grove will keep him alive for now.
Ebby's here. Ebby's in bot lane. I think the wave is terrible top, so he's just saying, I'll roam. If Vi's here, I'm ready for the counter gank. Massive punish there from Heretics. Good heads-up play by SK to look for that initial pick, but Jankos ready to respond. Not enough damage onto Mersa.
Spiny Lobster trying to make his presence known on the map, even if he's a bit of a shrimp on the top side.
So they look for Jackspektra initially, but then, of course, Mersa is the one who steps up towards the bush, and Jackspektra is the one who goes for the ward split up. This should be a kill here for SK. But the sweeper just gives him enough information to run away. The double knock-up. Exakick doesn't have flash to flash over it, and then the bubble to follow. Fantastic. As Exakick's flash came up, he uses it to flash away, I think. I'm not too sure what the flash situation was, but if he flashed over the Nami ult, maybe he could have got the kill with Mersa not having the flash, but then he would probably die anyway. So Markoon needs to be careful here. No flash for himself.
Review. Markoon retreating to Exakick. Exakick doesn't even have an item completed yet. Jankos knows that they are stronger, so feeling confident to go for this one. The pushback is beautiful for Markoon to interrupt that one, but still the bubble will connect, finding all the CC they need to take the jungler out. It's Irrelevant on the backside. Nobody can dash out. Nobody can get out of here.
Irrelevant.
Everyone waiting in the Lamb's Respite.
Close to Mega.
All eyes on the Gnar, all eyes on the Mega. Evie trying to buy as much space as he can for his team. Now retreating, unstoppable, out, trying to pull them back in, giving his life so the rest of the team can escape as he buys a few more seconds. Nothing here left for him. Exakick will grab the kill in the end.
Will they grab the Herald as well? Markoon's dead. Ebby's down for 30 seconds. Doesn't look like they're going to go for it. Irrelevant's looking for a little bit of information. They could start it up as Markoon comes onto the map. There's no real other job here for Irrelevant other than going towards that bot wave, but better to probably just stay with the team here. And it's Irrelevant that's holding SK in this game. 1.6k individual gold lead. Ebby's been dropping a lot of creeps since that solo kill. Markoon's on the way down. Hex gates are helping out. Ebby has TP. We could have round 2 on our hands here.
Jankos ready to go over the wall. Looking for the steal. The eye, will it open? Not going to happen. Smite now coming in. Markoon's grabbed that one. Exakick going to leap out to safety with a bit of emote flare to make it out. Daw's going to get tagged by just the edge of the wave. And Sertuss,
yep.
Nice use of the Taliah ultimate just to make sure that play stops in its tracks.
Disengage is good. SK get the objective and they get out. Was close. A couple seconds more and Heretics could have pulled the trigger. Ebby even uses the TP, so stings a bit on live there because he's laning next to Jackspektra on top. Let's look at this again. Markoon, you highlighted it, Drakos, in the fight. Good ult, unstoppable to stop the pushback. So he lived just long enough with the aftershock procced that SK could get a little bit of damage in. And I think what Ebby's eyes are on right now is Irrelevant. He sees a Mega Gnar pumping up. He's saying to himself, well, I think if I go in here, maybe the Mega Gnar doesn't go on my team. So he sacrificed himself in a way. That's the only angle I can see that Ebby looked at. Ends up dying. His team escapes. Not the end of the world. It's a 1-for-1. Top tower is going to go down for Heretics despite losing that Herald.
I think no matter what happens there, if you try to retreat into the choke where your team is going, you're going to die.
He has no flash, right?
There's no way out for him at that point. So the best he can do is generate space. Now, at this point, those summoners disconnected messages. That was a pause that happened and was already resolved. Because we are playing online, of course, we have the luxury of a bit of a delay for competitive integrity. So you can ignore the disconnect message. Everything is good. Everything is Gucci. We will continue the game.
SK gonna get that mid tower with the Herald. Charge onto tier 2. Similar thing that Heretics did last game. That'll help crack open through mid. But Heretics' eyes aren't on their mid tower. They're on this next dragon. Puts them on soul point. 20 seconds on the spawn. Sertuss is up towards his top side. I see pings on that top tier 1 there on the minimap from SK. Red pings on the blue tower. I wonder if they're all just gonna go top here and say, you know what? Sack the dragon. We have no chance of fighting it. Let's just try to get some gold, try to force this top tier 2. I think Heretics know it, and when you're in a situation like this, you ideally want to get a second pressure point. You want to push bot, start hitting their bot tier 2, so you can actually cross map effectively rather than just trade 1-for-1. So here comes a push. SK, pretty big wave. I think they can look for 2 towers here. Depends on the information they have, but they're all up here. May as well keep going.
Yep. 4 to 5, actually 5 out of 5. Mid to bottom side for Team Heretics. They're going to grab the third Drake and themselves one step closer to Hextech Soul. 3 out of 4, only 17 minutes in is big, but immediate gold advantage that they have is going to be mitigated somewhat by SK, pushing in a lot of these waves. Ruby will be there to catch that top side, and Jankos going to grab the dragon. 4 stacks for the Kindred, level 10. Feels like a pretty solid game, pretty big turnaround for Jankos, able to have massive impact in this one.
Heretics in a really good spot now. Lucian's getting towards that third item at almost 18 minutes into this game. So it's on Jackspektra and Ruby to outperform Sertuss and Exakick in the fights. Front to back in Heretics' favor in a sense because of the Cassante and the Kindred ult. But SK have the tools to find individual targets. Taliah is so good at locking one person down. Jankos needs to make sure he's on the trigger finger with the ult and he isn't getting blown up before he can get it down. Baron spawning in 2 minutes. The game will calm down for a little bit as both teams just kind of get resources, get items before those objectives spawn.
Yep. And there are no Umbral Glaive zombie ward abusers this time around. So vision control not quite as oppressive as it once was. SK sneaking their way in to the bot side jungle.
Can they dive that? 4v1 against the Cassante? Do they have the damage? They're gonna go for it. Heavy, no flash.
Going in. Looking for the lockup, unstoppable, back to safety. Immediately gonna ult just to generate as much distance as possible from the rest of the team. Beautiful footwork coming in from Evie. Irrelevant again, caught out under a tier 2 tower, just like in game 1. This time Jankos gonna grab the kill.
Oh, Evie.
And the rest of the fight's still going. DOS running, but there's so much damage coming in from this Azir. SK struggling on these dives across both games, but Exakick now could be the one in trouble. Holding onto his knee for now, ulting immediately, trying to get the fight kicked off, trying to get it out, burning, ticking, ignite will burn him down. Jackspektra finding the kill, but the rest of SK now looking for Team Heretics. Ruby still standing, Evie still standing. Messy, messy exchange. Team Heretics holding on to the gold lead.
Q from Sertuss just goes wide. There goes the only kill that SK could have picked up, but huge plays from Ebby despite being so far down in gold. He's there to respond to SK's plays. Heretics looking to chase any stragglers. Maybe they can find Markoon or Sertuss recalling in a bush. Looks like they won't get anything. They have a bit of vision to work with, but they didn't spot the Taliah. Maybe they're pinging this bot brush, see if they're recalling the alcove, but yeah, nothing here. So that's gonna be 3 kills over to Heretics. Jackspektra making sure he matches Exakick on the flash, punish him, get the kill, don't save your flash and just trade it off and look for the next team fight. Make sure he's snowballing on this Lucian. All comes off the back of SK. Really confusing play. They don't have a big enough wave. If they had 2 waves stacked up here, maybe this is plausible. But the second he dashes past the tower, SK are too hesitant to commit. If they overcommit there and there's an Azir TPing behind them, then they're all just going to get pushed into the rest of Heretics. So they disengage, and DOS here, massive knock from Ebby, runs past Irrelevant, knows he's dead, looks for the support of SK, gets that kill, and then the other 2 of Heretics, Jackspektra and Mersa, punish Exakick on midwave.
Big that they're able to get that punish onto Exakick. Slow down, obviously, the scaling from the Zeri. But a very, again, a very odd sequence of events there. And this is the second time where we've seen kind of these disconnected dives coming from SK, where Irrelevant clearly is confident to step forward, but Cassante feels like the one member on the enemy team where there is risk to diving him. Azir maybe the other one, but they decide to commit all the resources there. Turns against him a little bit, but Team Heretics holding on to a decent gold lead. Again, 3 Drakes, 2K gold lead, not bad, even if they are down a tower at this point in the game. Dragon Soul going to be everything. Every dragon for the rest of the game, SK are going to have to be ready to fight and commit resources to.
I think, honestly, Heretics, hang on a second, Markoon's charging up the Q. Maybe looking for Jackspektra, no flash. Sertuss going in with the wall, miscommunication from SK again. Maybe Irrelevant
on the side, but immediately Team Heretics are just going to turn and burn on him because they see the rest of SK is already backing away. Gnar giving him about 50% of his health just to even threaten.
Ult will time out, it won't land. Okay, so Heretics, a lot just happened there. Heretics very scared of losing a fight. They don't want the same scenario as last game where they just randomly get aced and lose the game. Ebby's just quick on the TP. The second he sees a Gnar behind him, he's instantly there. Mersa looks for a little bit towards the end. I mean, the ult should be back up before Dragon. But it's about keeping control.
Yeah, and really, this gold is a bit deceptive because Irrelevant's individual lead is 2.5k.
Yeah.
But he has not been a factor in these fights whatsoever. So if Irrelevant is not there, they're like 4 or 5k down. Because you see 2.1k individually for Jackspektra. Didn't go for Navori this time, went for IE. This man is looking to hit hard. And it's a similar story for Ruby in the mid lane. So while the gold at the top of your screen looks within, not within touching distance, but like a small lead for Team Heretics, it's actually pretty massive if Irrelevant can't find a big ult.
I think they're going to go Nash. Mersa, just, okay, well, I don't think he meant to hit the Nash. I think he wanted the control wards.
You're a fish person. It's a giant purple worm. It's like adjacent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You thought that like, hey, maybe if I just like hit you one time on accident, it'll be cool. No.
No, not going to get away with that. So I think Mersa was putting topside vision because Heretics probably want to trade Baron for this Dragon. Maybe they're not even interested in Soul. If all of SK go bot side here, their Nash is really quick. But with Mersa now on the bot side of the river, it looks like that plan is gone. They've dropped it. They want to fight this Soul. They think they're strong enough, and I think they are as well. Look at the item difference between the AD carries. It's a full Infinity Edge over the Zeri.
It's really Irrelevant is the only one with this massive lead. A big Gnar could define this entire game.
It's just going to proc now. I think Heretics can just wait that Mega Gnar out, so SK are just going to start it. They're saying, They're on a timer. Heretics can just stand there and watch it.
7 seconds on ult.
Yeah, he needs that ultimate Sertuss. SK actually want to wait, but they also need to force because of the Mega Gnar.
Oh, this is such
ult's up now. This is
difficult
where I think
position
Sertuss
to
will
be
throw
in.
it.
Sertuss needs to ult to split the team fight. He's going to do it, and he can catch at least Mersa off on the backside, and now they're looking to break the fight out. They managed to take the dragon away. They deny the soul for now, but Jackspektra in the back of the pit is doing absolutely nothing. All of that gold, unable to make an impact thus far. Exakick backing off, and SK got what they came for.
Yeah, it was a close. Taliah just came up when the Mega Gnar was available, and it was a 50-50. Now Team Heretics have a lot of tempo though. They could just look to rush this Baron down. Markoon's aware of it. Irrelevant's basing ready to TP in. Doss is based as well to make sure he can refresh ward so they can actually get vision on this Baron. But it's going to be quick. It's going to burn down. Do they have any blue orbs?
Heavy waiting, channeling out. That means there's no one body blocking. I think they just have to back away from this one. They're too squishy.
Yeah,
Baron does too much damage.
Oof, okay, so chips in the armor here from Heretics. Not as clean as they would have wanted it. They really wanted that Baron instead of the soul, but the plan failed when I think Mersa showed. And then SK managed to steal it away. It was Exakick who secured it, so they must have called a number to burst on. And they did. Mid-tier 2's down, so they can push all the way to the tier 3. And it's not the end of the world for Heretics. They can wait 4 more minutes and get that next soul point, if they pick it up. But now it's going to be a Baron dance. Nothing else to play for.
And the later we go, the easier it's going to be for Exakick to play a lot of these fights. And it's important to notice, in that fight, item advantages was pretty massively, at least on the bottom side, in favor of Jackspektra, but short range meant that he could not do a lot.
Yeah, it's hard against the Taliah. I think Taliah E was down on the dragon area, so as soon as he dashed over, he's not in range to hit, but he also wants to go forward. So in the end, he's just being hit by the enemy because of the outrange, and he can't fully commit. Heretics dancing around this Baron. They can 2-man it, I think. They could have Ebby and Ruby just 2-man Nash while the rest of them zone them away, or something along those lines. It's probably plausible with the Azir, because he can dash over the walls, but we'll see what they do. Mid-waves coming in. 5 stacks for Jankos on this Kindred.
Good poke, Sertuss.
This looks like deja vu, doesn't it, from game 1. Markoon's around the back. Heretics needs to be a bit careful here.
Ooh, this is a long flank coming in from Markoon. Irrelevant stacking up the rage.
They know Markoon's around here. They don't see him. Here's the wall. Now they're looking for Azir.
Wall's going to be big. Ruby isolated. Damage is coming in, but he's going to get pushed back into the rest of the team. Now ulting back in. Sertuss should have the free setup of his life. Irrelevant! Finding 2 instantly on the backside, but no one follows up. No one is there for him. He is left empty-handed. This man's going to have to buy himself flowers at the back of this team fight because no one else is going to do it. SK finally showing up. But it's a messy exchange. Once again, that ult should have sealed the deal, but it's now Ebby on the backside. Ebby looking for the flank. It is Team Heretics looking to turn, but they are out of carry. Jackspektra running, Markoon coming in. Massive shutdown, and again, SK find a fight.
Not again! Straight up 5v5. SK managed to out-team fight Heretics despite them being ahead. How did it fall apart? Jackspektra was kiting for so long. The bubble looks great. Do they have the damage is my question for that Baron. We'll find out in a few seconds. A lot of things to keep your eyes on here. Ruby, first target for SK. Good damage, but he's holding his stopwatch here. He knows that Markoon will try to ult him. Stopwatch comes in. Irrelevant now. Look on the left side. Massive Gnar ult. Like you said, where's the follow-up? SK are just too far away because Exakick's fighting up against Ebby. Look at this bubble from Mersa. Lands just outside the Kindred ult, but they're so low. Now eyes on Markoon. How much work does he do in this fight? Finds Jankos, gets his flash over the wall, then peels back to help against Ebby, who just took that Exakick, and then Markoon goes in again, finds Jankos, waits for his next Q, teams up with Doss, next to the support of SK, finds Jackspektra and Mersa with a Q flash, and the jungle support carries the entire fight. Exakick didn't really get anything done, and now
Markoon a hero, and down goes Ruby.
What is going on? It's just fallen apart again for Heretics. These fights just not going in their favor, just overgrouping in mid, and SK have the hard engage, Sejuani Vi, whatever it may be. They can get on top of you, and Exakick was down an item and a half in these fights. It's the solo lanes, jungle support just stepping up here for SK. We talked about Exakick's impact, but the rest of SK showing their caliber. Can Jankos steal it? He could jump in, but he doesn't have the ultimate.
Irrelevant waiting. He's just going to go for the wall. He's just going to stun him. He's just going to deny it. 2K getting lower. They're going to burn through the Baron as quickly as they can. And again, SK take a Baron. So many individual fumbles for SK across the series, but when it comes time to stand up, to play well, to perform in these fights, in these clutch scenarios, they are just outmatching Team Heretics.
Is this Heretics just misplaying on mid-waves, or is this SK just having great team fights? I think it's a bit of a mixture of both. SK have really good single target damage. The Vi, the Lulu, the Taliah follow-up, and their target selection seems good. But Heretics, yeah, they can never really play together. They really want Ebby in the front line, Azir and Lucian hitting, but Ebby was split off looking for flanks. And then you're playing 4 range champions kiting back. See this one again here. Looks like Doss got hit back by the Blast Cone, but it doesn't matter because they're looking for the Azir. Trying to finish off blue. Oh, he reset the blue, so he stays for too long, and then they just get ulted. Stopwatches on cooldown.
Yeah.
No team nearby. Bye-bye to the Azir.
Had the vision setup necessary to make that play happen. Again, we are grouping mid lane. Both sides ready to try and 5v5.
It's 3 seconds on the soul. Does Heretics really want to try and fight this? The game could be lost here.
The gold is basically dead. Even surely you can still win a fight if you execute well.
Ruby's so close to Rabadon's. That's a massive spike, but it looks like they might take it anyway.
Maybe they can steal it. 4K getting lower. Jankos has no vision in the pit. He should just be there. Drake.
Yeah.
Relevant onto the side, playing well. Doesn't get clipped by the bubble.
I feel like Heretics should be here.
Oh, now coming in for Markoon. They're entirely grouped. Gonna get knocked back. Heavy trying to buy as much as he can. Markoon is all alone, jumping into this one, but they don't have the damage to kill the buy. Markoon refuses to die, and now Exakick has come to play. Jackspektra on the retreat. Jankos on the retreat. They're holding on for now. Team Heretics lose the fight, lose the exchange, lose the dragon, but they will hold on to their lives.
Why did they take that fight? They could have just cross-mapped top, taken a Kindred stack, pushed out top, looked for vision top side. They just walked in with no vision, and Ruby was so close to Rabadon's. Anyway, SK get the fight. They're going to push down mid. Top lane's being pushed in with from Irrelevant. Nice TP. Using this minute left of Baron will get them a tier 2. But that'll be it. So, Heretics not out of it just yet. That fight didn't lose them the game. They're holding on. They've lost their lead. But I don't think they're out of it just yet. They still have the Azir.
Jankos on 2 items. His gold income slowed down a lot after some of those early plays. Maybe he can do a bit more in these fights, but we look back at this, it's just, it feels messy.
Heretics see nothing. They're blind. There's pink wards everywhere. They have not a single ward. They're just kind of fishing for something, but they have no engage, so it's only Ebby, and look how fast he dies. Ruby gets knocked up, knocked back, has Zhonya's, yes, doesn't matter. Kindred ult's not even used to save him either. I think Jankos was surprised of the chain CC. Maybe he expected Zhonya's to come out. Ebby's gone, no frontline. Jackspektra has to run for his life. No turn available. So now, 30 minutes into the game, building towards these 3-4 item spikes here. Heretics have held on from this Baron push, but now the game is in SK's favor.
And
Walls coming down.
Oh, buying a bit more space. I don't think they're going to overcommit to this one. They can't see the rest of the team. Evie just going to dash to his teammates, make it out to safety.
Yep. All of SK are here. Baron buffs off in 5. That was the last wave to play for that bot tier 2. I mean, they can try and stay a little bit longer, but they need to push them out somehow, maybe with a Taliah combo. Looks like Heretics are just dropping it. Yeah, no point defending that.
And the problem right now is that for most of these fights, they've been pretty defined by Markoon, Sertuss, Irrelevant, Doss. Exakick hasn't been the biggest factor because he's at 2.5 items.
Yep.
But he's going to hit 3 items soon. He just hit 3 items, and now the Zeri is going to be a problem too, when Team Heretics were already struggling so much to try and team fight.
Yeah.
This game is falling out of their hands again in the same exact way it did in Game 1, and it is crushing because it is an elimination game. If you lose here, your season is over.
Yep. I mean, just look at the top lane gold difference. 4.3k gold to Irrelevant. Almost Flame Horizoning, 2 levels up, almost 3. He's quite close to level 17. This Cassante pick, yes, it's frontline, but it's butter. It's just getting melted straight through by the carries of SK. You can even ignore them. They can look for Vials on the backline. There's no real threat. Whereas Irrelevant is tankier, yes, has Guardian Angel, but also does a lot of damage. So Ebby's trying to find some angles. At this point, he may as well just group up. There's no real reason to sit on a side lane and just do nothing. He has TP, I suppose, so that could be something they can use to catch those side waves. But yeah, 1 minute 50 seconds on Baron. SK are just going to wait for that to spawn. 2 minutes on the Dragon. Roughly same timers. Maybe Heretics can trade a neutral.
Yeah. Again, though, credit to Irrelevant. Struggled sometimes to find the optimum engage angle. Has not necessarily... He's had a lot of difficult moments, I think, that will not be counted in his highlight reels of going a bit too aggressive with the team not being on the same page. But statistically, you see that gold and you know this man has been dominating his individual matchup. And Evie, while for a lot of the early game, playing on a single item felt good because you could still threaten the backline, he is no longer a threat. And this is really well and truly where we see the lane gap come to fruition, because Evie could leave and make those plays early on, but now he is almost irredeemably far behind at this point in the game.
He is. SK looking for bot vision. Heretics trying to look for a pick. A little bit of damage onto Markoon. The Lucian's on 4 items, but
that's 4-item Lucian. That's his whole combo with a Nami.
Yeah, not optimal, really.
And admittedly, it's a tanky frontliner. Yeah. But that's not a lot of armor on Markoon quite yet. That's mostly HP.
Ooh, there might be a wall here to separate them. Needs to be careful here. Sertuss can just it across if they get a bit too overconfident here, Heretics. They have a lot of dashes to get back, but the Nami doesn't, so yeah, Sertuss on that side. It's just so hard for Heretics to step up.
And I think that's the big thing, is already the compositions are difficult to play without CC, but when there's a random wall that can appear at any moment, that's a massive threat. Jankos gonna get knocked back, knocked up one more time. It's an absolute bounce house for the Kindred. No chance to push that Lamb's Respite. Perfectly layered CC from the side of SK as they set their sights now. 30 seconds until that Dragon. They can move up to Soul Point themselves. 13 until the Baron. No jungler standing. You have to feel they're going to go for the big purple
It's
worm.
over, yeah. They're going to get Herald, so they're going to get Nash and the Dragon, sorry. And then the push is going to come through. The dance was supposed to be around the neutrals, but SK found their window to punish Jankos. It just feels like Heretics lack direction in this late game. It just feels like their only option most of the time is just group up mid. There's no side lane pressure. And yes, their draft this game doesn't really have it, but last game they did. With the Jax.
Try to just steal this one away.
They're just gonna brute force it. So
okay,
Ruby
is just flipping it.
Okay, they tried to commit 4-man, but SK read the play.
I mean, it's tough because sometimes you've got a 2 and a 7, and you just decide that you need to play out that hand. But I respect it. Sometimes you got to take the risk.
Just got to take the all-in.
SK gonna grab Baron, and I think an incredibly difficult day for Team Heretics because for every play they've made in the early game that has seemed good and has made you believe in this team as we've gone mid to late, they've made just as many bad plays to balance it out, and it's just not the way that you want to end your season.
It's not indeed. And with SK now in the driver's seat, it's going to be an exciting matchup in the next round. Of course, we saw the struggle of Vitality against Heretics. Managed to win out though, but SK looking a lot more competitive here.
Yep. Of course, still have to finish this one, but as they're pulling further and further ahead of the gold, we've seen how easy their composition is to execute. It feels like it is all but over.
Yeah, I mean, Heretics have one last Hail Mary, but the problem they have now is the enemy carries are ahead when Heretics had their carries ahead the majority of the game. And they can just play this 1-4, siege it down, see if Heretics can find a big team fight. They have got the range champs, so if they overcommit, yes, they can punish.
Big knockback, goodbye to Ruby. Running, Scoot now, next to maybe went too deep. Now can they finish? Exakick, Exakick dashing out to safety, he refuses to go down, and his Jankos now trying to get one more kill, but only Jackspektra dies.
How's he gone down? SK have lost one of their main carries. Ruby's had to flash away. Bot wave's pushing in. I think Irrelevant's going to base and TP back here. Looking to end on this wave, perhaps, but looks like they might back away. Health bars are relatively low, but they're going to go towards the mid. Irrelevant's TPing in there, calling his team, saying, move towards mid. We've got a wave. Let's play on that. Try to look for a next objective, next inhibitor. Keep cracking this base of Heretics open. 25 seconds on the Lucian. SK will play around that.
Q channeled. Ebby unstoppable again. Well played to make it out to safety. Immediately going to be forced to use the Gargoyle Shield, and now going back into the Lamb's Respite. Irrelevant can just toss it back into his team if he wants to, but he's holding on for now. Sertuss. Ooh, very aggressive step forward. Will not find the flip back into the rest of his team. So it is just going to be the inhibitor.
Needs to be careful here. TP behind could be deadly here for SK. Where's Ebby? Can he find a ward? There it is. This is it. This is everything for Heretics.
They're so low. There's so many blinking health bars.
He doesn't know where they are.
Ebby trying to find the angle.
Doesn't know where they are.
Spotting, he's just guessing at this point, but the Hex Gates!
Yeah, they're out. They're out. That was it. I mean, the idea was good, but they didn't have vision. All of SK was blinking health bars. If they could have got those kills, they would have regained some control of this map, but yeah, that's gonna sting. So we'll look at this bot fight again. So what happened to Jackspektra? I think there's a pushback here from Sertuss onto Ruby and Ebby. I think he hit both of them. Let's see it again. The Taliah, they move towards mid here thinking bot wave's gone, but Ebby's overstepping. There's the knock here, both of them. Oh, beautiful. So they get a lot of damage onto Ruby. Now, eyes on Jackspektra. Dashes forwards, gets the kill. Force Q flash from Markoon. Yeah, no counterplay there. Really well played by Markoon. The second the Lucian dashes forwards, instantly punished. So good engage from SK, staying together. They manage to get bot in it, but they don't get the mid inhibitor.
And shout out, again, Sertuss ultimately the one with the really nice scoreline at the end of this game, but big shout out to the jungle support duo of SK.
Yeah.
Making so many of these massive plays. Is once again the Weaver's Wall going to split Team Heretics for a few seconds. 1 minute and 55 seconds until Soul is on the table for either team. And to be honest, I think if you're Team Heretics, you kind of wish it was Elder, because that feels like the way you could come back to this game. I don't think Soul is enough. If you get the Soul but lose the fight, the game is over for you. So it's not quite as impactful.
Yeah, maybe they'll try to stall it out. Let's see how aggressive they play it. Do you contest this Soul? I mean, Lucian is full items. All he needs is boots. The Zeri's not full items just yet, so still gold lead in favor of Jackspektra. The only issue is your front line is just going to get melted. Jankos trying to get towards that Lord Dominic's trying to get a little bit of armor pen. Ruby has bought the elixir of sorcery, so looks like Heretics is committing. You don't buy that potion unless you're looking for a fight, or at least trying to stop one from happening. The economy is a bit broken here for Heretics. I don't think there's any more item spikes to get in the next minute. Sertuss used the flash in the last fight, so maybe that's something they can look to punish. Has the cleanse and the ghost instead. Not much to cleanse, so we'll see what he uses it for.
difficult situation for Heretics. Again, walking into the fog of war so hard. Evi should be tanky enough to step forward here. I think they got to be a little bit more willing to use the K'Sante, but the K'Sante also needs to get this farm. So difficult situation to be in. Really just spending their time fighting over scraps of vision.
Yep.
Hope for a better angle on maybe 50-50ing or flanking in a team fight.
Okay, so Heretics is going to brute force through bot. You're leaving mid exposed there. They need to be careful. They could just end the game mid, Heretics. No TP on Ebi. SK aren't showing just yet, so they're not... Actually, they are going to show. Just try and get this inhibitor. All of Heretics are flushed out of bot lane. That's the only way they can get vision. SK playing it well, just matching what they want to do. The Hex Gate out here from Exakick, and then move back into the bot side jungle. It's a game of push and pull here from SK.
But again, Team Heretics, just to play the game, have to be willing to bet their mid lane inhibitor. The odds are starting to feel more and more insurmountable.
Yeah, here comes the setup. SK trying to hold this line in the jungle.
Weaver's wall.
You can see it right there. Sertuss just built it.
Leaping over, irrelevant on the side. Jackspektra leaping in! Holding on for now due to the Lamp Dress, but Markoon getting chipped away. Jackspektra gets flicked back into the rest of the team, but he's still standing. Irrelevant off to the side. 1v1ing versus Evi. Ruby just going to get taken out, and it is domination from SK. Confidence in the execution is finally Exakick is going to get to auto attack, do the damage he has been waiting to do all game long. Now on a killing spree, now with a double, and that is it. The whimper of Heretics. A struggle of a series, but SK will come out on top. A lot to work on, a lot to clean up, but ultimately it is they who will win the day. Heretics knocked out of the winter season as SK move to face Vitality tomorrow.
Yeah, they were the better team on the day. Maybe the lanes weren't having huge differences in terms of raw firepower, but their drafts were one-dimensional in terms of one win condition. They stuck to it, and they managed to pull it off. Great game from SK, just staying together as a team, good target selection. And good team fights especially, which I think was the main difference maker in this series. Just team fights, that was it. Macro maybe slightly Heretics' favorite, but who cares at the end of the day?
No.
If you can't rack up the kills in the 5v5, the season's over. Jankos mod reviewing the game there, I think, just trying to look, see how it all fell apart, so he'll be kicking himself a bit, but yeah, at the end of the day, not much that Heretics could look for, but it's SK who win the day.
Yeah. And hearts out to Heretics. It's not how you want to end the season. It is not the situation that you want to find yourself in whatsoever. And, you know, get better soon to Ruby, and I hope no one else is feeling too down. It's a terrible way to go. You want to play at your best form. But ultimately, even though Team Heretics were able to find some edges there, SK, better team on the day, and that's what matters. And we'll move on. And we'll see, because SK and Vitality, both shaky, I think, in the most recent series we've seen from them. But we'll have to see tomorrow, find that out. In the meantime, player of the series at LEC on Twitter, Irrelevant, Markoon, or Sertuss are your options.
Irrelevant was playing his own game, you know? But he was doing a good job at playing his own game.
He did die a lot. I'm giving it to Sertuss. Massive Silas game.
I think all of them had stand-up performances. Sertuss on the carry, Markoon on the slam dunk, and Irrelevant on his island, just outperforming, I think, in a way.
Yeah.
Just winning on his lane phase and being useful in fights. But big win for SK. This is a roster that they want to push into the top 4. I mean, they finished so high in the regular season. Everyone was surprised. Can they keep that momentum going? Because a lot of teams flop in the best of 3s, best of 5s, despite having good regular seasons in the past.
Yeah, and we are setting up an interview at the moment. And when we're ready with that, we'll send it on over to Lure. But in the meantime, just thinking more about kind of what this game shows us for tomorrow, I think that a lot more potential for Vitality to be a more explosive team. I think Markoon got a lot of work done today in Game 2. Game 1, a bit of a struggle, not the kind of game you can afford to have against a player like Bo, even if he's not the most consistent jungler in our league. I think giving small edges over to a team like Vitality, especially against their top side, it's a risky proposition.
Yeah, you got to tame the beast of Bo. I've seen Nidalee level 2 gank bot and sit there for 3 minutes, ignoring his camps, trying to punish you.
Sometimes he tames himself, though.
At times, yeah. I think that's when he dies, though. Because he just goes in, doesn't he?
The fountain tames him.
10 deaths on Vi, just non-stop sending it. So yeah, I think it's about containing the beast, making sure they have full information as to where Bo is. But yeah, that'll be an exciting series.
And they'll get to play in studio. So obviously, playing from home affects different players differently. Can't be certain how it affects either of the teams that played today. But we know that SK and Vitality will be able to play on stage again tomorrow, and that's big.
Stage buff or stage nerf? What do you think you are? Are you a stage buff or a stage nerf?
I'm a stage nerf.
Oh yeah?
Most certainly. Because there's no way that I get better. I play horribly with 0 pressure on. I don't think there's any way I get better.
Just start shaking.
You've played games with me.
Yeah.
Other than our signature Volibear Pike bottom lane.
The pressure you're under is when I'm like dead in Apex and I'm like spectating you. And like 2 or 3 people are watching you and you're the last one alive. It's like,
the nice thing about League of Legends is people don't usually get to watch my POV until they're already dead. So it's like, oh, you're going to criticize me? Is this a seance, bro? I'm sorry. I didn't know we were speaking to ghosts.
All you see is the flashy highlight reels. They just clip those on out.
That's the secret. You can be bad at League, but if you clip your right moments,
You can be
people
good.
will think you're good. Just make montages.
Yeah, the PogChamp moments. Your Pyke has a lot of PogChamp moments.
Thank you. I don't think it has as many PogChamp moments as Sertuss' Taliah in this series, though.
Did I have a lot of PogChamp? Did he
double
die in this
flick.
series? I don't think he did die.
We'll have to find out. Interview. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties, as I have some speaking difficulties. So in the meantime, we're going to head to a break. We'll be back with more LEC action. Don't go anywhere. I think Medi's coming up. It's going to be a great day. BDS coming up. Astralis. There's a lot to look forward to.